the News Channel 5 network. This is Titans Talk.
Hey there, Titans Talk on your television. I am Steve Lehman. Thanks for joining us on this Monday night on News Channel 5 Plus. And boy, do we have a game to talk about from yesterday. Essentially, the Titans rewriting the script from week one when it looked like they were the better team much of the way. Yesterday, it was a struggle for 3 quarters. The offense never got going. There were penalties in all 3 phases. The one thing that was consistent through the first 3 quarters was the defensive effort. They were largely phenomenal once again yesterday, and they kept them in the game. And then in the fourth quarter, the Titans turned things around. Marcus Mariota hitting Delanie Walker on the first play of the quarter for a 30-yard touchdown that brought the Titans within 15-10. And then with just over 7 minutes to go, the Titans were able to march 83 yards on 13 plays to bring it home. Andre Johnson with his 69th career touchdown catch, maybe one of the best in double coverage in the end zone on 4th down with just over a minute to go as the Titans won that game. And I want to hear from you guys tonight. 737-7767 is the number. What were you thinking yesterday? Because as I looked at the social media as it went through the game, people tweeting me various things, it seemed like everybody was just about set to just give up on the Titans yesterday for a half, maybe even 3 quarters of that game. Just ready to call it quits. And then all of a sudden they turned things around in the fourth quarter. How bad was it from your perspective early on? And what does it say about this team that they figured out how to win? Mike Mularkey after the game said, "This is our identity. This is what we knew we were made of. Other people didn't. See, we can go on the road. We can come back from a deficit. We can win these games." Now the issue for the Titans is, can they string wins together? You got one, but can they string them together? Because remember, the last couple of seasons, this is a team that won in week 1. And expectations kind of went through the roof after that happened. But they weren't able to string the wins together and become a competitive football team throughout the course of the year. This team got a win in week 2. They're on the board now. But can they string them together? They feel like they're a better team, a different team than what we've seen in the past. Are they? What are your thoughts? 737-7767. Marcus Mariota on the final drive as well. What more can you say about him? 9 of 9, 74 yards. He actually completed a 10th pass, but was called back because of a penalty. Couple of 3rd down conversions that were key. Obviously, the touchdown came on 4th down. That's the ball game right there. And he was perfect on that drive. A guy starting just his 14th career game in the National Football League came up clutch when it mattered. And I think you see some other things about this team in terms of roles. Andre Johnson had 1 catch yesterday, but it was the biggest catch of the season so far. He is a future Hall of Famer, and while at 35 years of age, he's not the Hall of Fame receiver that he once was. But he's still a guy who's consistent and you can count on him. And when you ask Marcus Mariota, what were you thinking when you threw that ball in that situation, especially into tight coverage in the end zone? And he said, come on, the guy's a Hall of Famer. He's made plays throughout his career. You trust that. That's what the Titans believe in here. They have brought in guys that they now trust that can get the job done. And yesterday you saw some of those guys make plays, finish a game. Johnson with the touchdown catch. You haven't seen a wide receiver make a play like that in a Titans uniform in a long, long time. And then it follows up with the defense. The defense has been really good through 2 games right now. They've allowed 1 touchdown through 2 games. Frankly, when you think about that, it's somewhat hard to imagine this team isn't 2-0 because of how well the defense has played to this point. But still, they've allowed 1 touchdown in 2 games. And yesterday, against a very good Lions offense with a good quarterback in Matthew Stafford and several receivers who can get separation and make plays, the Titans took the lead with just over a minute left. In the same situation in Week 1, Stafford and Detroit take the ball with 3 timeouts, and they drive the field and get a field goal to beat the Colts. I think there were a lot of people who feared that was the situation yesterday in Detroit. But instead, the Titans, they didn't sink back into a prevent defense or a shell defense trying to keep everything in front of them and let them march down the field. They went after Stafford. They kept the pressure up. They stayed man on islands outside. And you know what? The pressure got to Stafford. They got a sack, nearly got a fumble. Probably should have gotten a fumble. And the guys locked down in the secondary. And ultimately, they hurried Stafford into getting the ball rid of the ball quicker than he wanted, and Parrish Cox made a play. Parrish Cox did not have a good game yesterday. He's one of the guys on the defensive side that struggled at times. Missed a couple route coverages, missed a couple tackles, had a penalty, I believe. It wasn't a great game. But when the game was on the line, he made a play. The interception that sealed it. And that is what you're looking for. Guys to play their roles, do their job. And the biggest thing is when there is a play to be made to win the football game. For so long here in Tennessee, we have watched a team that shrunk from those moments, that was unable to summon the magic and make a play to win. And yesterday, on multiple occasions, the Titans made plays to win a game. The Titans of the old don't win that game. And I'm not sure if the Titans of the new, how many games they win moving forward. But what you saw yesterday, to me, is proof that it's not the same old Titans. Yesterday was a team that believed they could get it done. Even down 15-3 going into the fourth quarter, when the offense hadn't done anything, they figured out a way to turn it on in the fourth quarter. And they got 13 points. Down 15-10, 7 minutes to go. They need to drive the field. They believed they could do it. Couple of third down conversions. They believed the ball was in the hands of the right guy in their quarterback in Marcus Mariota. DeMarco Murray brought in. He had 145 total yards yesterday. Maybe he hasn't been the impact in the rushing game that people hoped would be the dream scenario to this point. Titans haven't rushed quite as well as they would like through the first 2 weeks. But when you throw in all the targets and the completions that Murray has had to this point, and Derrick Henry to a lesser extent as well, it's hard to argue with the overall production you're getting out of the backfield and what you make defenses have to prepare for and think about throughout the course of a game. And then you get down to their goal line. Andre Johnson makes a catch. Mariota makes a pass. You take the lead, and then the defense steps up once again. Those are plays that the Titans of the old don't make, and yesterday these Titans made. I want to get your thoughts on that. 737-7767. Is this a new era for the Titans? We will get to your phone calls coming up here in a second. But first, let's get to the highlights from yesterday's game in Detroit. Titans and Lions. Penalties a big issue. Backed up after a hold on a punt. DeMarco Murray thrown down in the end zone for a safety, and the Lions capitalized on the next possession as well. What a throw by Matthew Stafford to Anquan Bolden, made it 9-0. But again, as we say, the story, penalties. Lions had 17. That OPI wiped away a touchdown, made him settle for a field goal. Third quarter, Mariota trying to take a shot. This is a great play by Glover Quinn coming over the top to get the interception. Lions tack on another field goal. But the Titans don't say die. 20 yards to Rashard Matthews there. Then first play of the fourth quarter, aloha. Beautiful pass, 30-yard touchdown to Delaney Walker. It's 15-10. They get it back 5 minutes later. Just over 5 minutes to go. There's the third down conversion to Sharp. Then a beautiful ball to DeMarco Murray for 22 yards down to the 25. And here's the fourth down play to the end zone. And that is why Andre Johnson is headed to the Hall of Fame someday. Big-time catch to give the Titans the lead. And then there's Parrish Cox with the play to seal it. The interception down the stretch. Titans win 16-15, their first win since December 6th of last year. First win as Mike Mularkey being the permanent head coach of this team. And most importantly, 1-1 in the 2016 season. And that's big. We talked about this last night on the show on NewsChannel 5, the Electric Power Company Sunday Sports Central. It's just week 2. It's very early. There's a lot of football left to be played. But statistically, over the course of history of the NFL, if you go 1-1 in the first 2 weeks, just average, you've got a better than 40% chance to make the playoffs. So that's where the Titans stand now. If you lose your first 2 games and fall to 0-2, you have a less than 12% chance to make the playoffs at the end of the year. So while it may seem really early, and it may seem like, oh, just a win, statistically, just a win in one of those first 2 weeks and being at least 1-1 means you're in the hunt for the playoffs. 0-2 start almost ends your season before it begins. And for a Titans team that has struggled to get any momentum going over the past several seasons and is trying to convince people, maybe even convince themselves, that this is a different team in a different year, that win yesterday was big in doing just that. Titans win, they're 1-1. Now it's on to Oakland to see if they can string something together. All right, we are underway here tonight on Titans Talk. We want to hear from you now. You've heard from me. Those are some of my takes from the game yesterday. Agree? Disagree? Your thoughts moving forward? 737-7767 is the number. And we'll hear from you guys on the phones right after this break.